The Codex of Dream with ChattyGinger. Welcome to the world where dreams became reality. Beware of what you dream of. You have been warned. Chapter 1, Part 1. Shattered Symbols, a dream's ominous warning. Dreaming of cutting your hair or losing teeth. In the depths of sleep, Lily found herself in a peculiar dream. She stood in front of a mirror, her reflection staring back at her, but something was amiss. With a jolt of realization, she noticed strands of her hair falling to the ground, as if being snipped away by invisible scissors. Panic gripped her heart as she reached up to touch her head, only to find more hair slipping through her fingers. A sense of foreboding settled over her. In the dream, she couldn't comprehend why this was happening, but a voice seemed to whisper in her mind, warning her of impending danger. Abruptly, the scene shifted. Now she stood in the same room, but instead of hair, she felt something strange in her mouth. She opened it wide, and horror washed over her as she saw her teeth, tumbling out onto the floor. Yet there was no blood, only a strange emptiness where her teeth once were. Awakening with a start, Lily's heart raced with unease. She couldn't shake off the unsettling feeling that lingered from the dream. Was it just a product of her imagination, or did it hold some deeper significance? As the day unfolded, tension hung heavy in the air. Each creak of the floorboards, each gust of wind seemed to whisper of impending doom. And then, in the evening, the phone rang. It was the call they had dreaded. Lily's father had been in a car accident. He was in critical condition. As they rushed to the hospital, Lily couldn't shake the feeling that her dream had been a warning, a premonition of the tragedy that had befallen them. In the days that followed, as they prayed for her father's recovery, Lily couldn't help but wonder about the mysterious connection between dreams and reality. Was it merely coincidence, or was there a deeper, unseen force at play? Regardless, one thing was certain. The bond between family members was stronger than ever as they rallied together in the face of adversity, determined to overcome whatever challenges lay ahead. Part 2. The Collapse. A Dream's Dire Warning. Dreaming of your house collapsing. In the quiet suburb where Emma lived, the nights were usually peaceful. But one night, her dreams took a dark turn. She found herself standing in front of her childhood home, the place that had always been a sanctuary of warmth and security. As she gazed at the familiar structure, a deep rumble shook the ground beneath her feet. Emma watched in horror as the walls of her home began to crack and crumble. The sturdy pillars that had stood for decades snapped like twigs, and the roof caved in with a thunderous crash. Dust and debris filled the air, and a sense of dread settled in her heart. She woke up with a start, her heart pounding in her chest. The dream had felt so real, so vivid. She couldn't shake off the feeling of impending doom that clung to her. Emma remembered her grandmother's words about dreams being omens, warnings of what might come. The house, a symbol of protection and family being destroyed, meant something terrible could be on the horizon. Unable to ignore the unsettling dream, Emma shared it with her family over breakfast. Her parents exchanged worried glances, and her mother, a firm believer in the power of dreams, decided they should all be extra cautious. That very afternoon, Emma's younger brother Alex complained of feeling unwell. Initially dismissing it as a common cold, the family quickly realized it was something more serious when his condition worsened rapidly. They rushed him to the hospital, where doctors discovered he had a severe infection that required immediate treatment. The days that followed were tense and exhausting. Alex's recovery was slow but steady, and the family remained by his side, supporting each other through the ordeal. Emma couldn't help but think back to her dream. It had warned her of danger, of a potential disaster that could affect her family. In the end, Alex recovered fully, and the family breathed a collective sigh of relief. The experience brought them even closer, reminding them of the fragile nature of life and the importance of being vigilant and supportive of one another. Emma never forgot that dream. It had been a harbinger, a warning that urged her to take action and protect her loved ones. From then on, she paid more attention to her dreams, understanding that sometimes the subconscious mind could sense dangers that the conscious mind could not. And while the dream of the collapsing house had been terrifying, it had also been a crucial signal that helped her family navigate a difficult time. Part 3. Broken Wheels, Broken Fortune, Dreaming About Car Damage. On a chilly autumn night, David fell into a restless sleep. In his dream, he found himself driving his family's car through familiar streets. Suddenly, the car shuddered, and a loud bang echoed through the air. He pulled over and got out to inspect the damage, only to find that one of the tires had blown out. The once pristine car now looked battered and worn, with broken headlights and dents that hadn't been there before. David's heart pounded as he examined the damage. He sensed that this dream was more than just a random nightmare. It felt like a warning. The car, a symbol of his family's hard-earned money and security, lay crippled before him. He awoke with a start, sweat beading on his forehead. The dream had felt incredibly real, and he couldn't shake off the unease it left behind. At breakfast, he shared his dream with his wife, Sarah, who listened intently, her brow furrowing with concern. "Maybe it's a sign," Sarah said softly. "You know how your grandmother always said dreams could be warnings?" David nodded. His grandmother had often spoken of dreams as harbingers of future events, especially when they involved significant possessions like their car. Over the next few days, David couldn't help but feel on edge. He paid extra attention while driving and urged Sarah to be cautious as well. Despite his vigilance, an unsettling feeling lingered. A week later, the family's finances took an unexpected hit. A significant investment David had made turned sour, resulting in a substantial loss. As they were grappling with this financial blow, they received more distressing news. Sarah's elderly aunt had passed away. The funeral expenses, coupled with the financial loss, strained their budget further. As they navigated through these trying times, David couldn't help but recall his dream. The damaged car had been a symbol of the impending difficulties that had now materialized. It was as if the dream had been a premonition, urging him to prepare for the challenges ahead. Determined not to be defeated by these setbacks, David and Sarah sat down to reassess their finances. They made a strict budget, cut unnecessary expenses, and focused on rebuilding their savings. The process was tough, but it brought them closer as a family, strengthening their resolve to overcome the adversities together. Months passed, and slowly but surely, their financial situation began to stabilize. The car, which had seemed like an omen of doom in David's dream, now symbolized their resilience and ability to recover from hardship. They had learned to heed the warnings of their subconscious, and it had helped them navigate through a stormy period in their lives. In the end, the dream that had initially filled David with dread became a turning point for him and his family. It reminded them of the importance of vigilance, preparedness, and unity in the face of unexpected challenges. And as they moved forward, they did so with a newfound appreciation for the subtle ways in which life sometimes offers us glimpses of what lies ahead. Part 4. The Ominous Feast, A Dream's Warning, Dreaming of Eating Strange Food. One evening, after a long day at work, Lily fell into a deep sleep, her mind swirling with the events of the day. In her dream, she found herself seated at a lavish banquet table, adorned with an array of the most peculiar foods she had ever seen. There were vibrant, glowing fruits, dishes that seemed to pulse with an otherworldly light, and even objects that looked more like trinkets than edible items. Intrigued and oddly compelled, she reached for a glowing purple fruit and took a bite. It tasted strange, unlike anything she had ever experienced, both sweet and bitter, with a texture that was simultaneously crunchy and soft. She moved on to another dish, this one resembling a small, shimmering sculpture. As she chewed, an unsettling sensation filled her stomach, but she couldn't stop herself from trying more. Suddenly, the atmosphere around her darkened. The once vibrant and inviting banquet now seemed sinister. Shadows lengthened, and a chill ran down her spine. The faces of the people around her blurred and distorted, their eyes fixated on her with an eerie intensity. Lily awoke with a gasp, her heart pounding in her chest. She couldn't shake the feeling that the dream had been more than just a bizarre nighttime fantasy. It felt like a warning, a premonition of something ominous. The next morning, she shared her unsettling dream with her family. Her mother, a superstitious woman, looked deeply concerned. "Dreams about eating strange foods can be a bad omen," she said. "It might mean that there's trouble ahead, illness or conflicts." Lily dismissed the idea as mere superstition, but the dream lingered in her thoughts throughout the day. A week later, her mother fell ill with a severe flu that refused to abate. Despite multiple visits to the doctor, her condition worsened, leaving the family anxious and exhausted. As the days passed, tensions within the family began to rise. Arguments erupted over trivial matters, and the usually harmonious household felt strained and fractious. Lily couldn't help but recall her dream and her mother's warning. Was the dream trying to tell her something important? Scene script. Determined to bring peace and health back to her family, Lily took decisive action. She insisted on a second medical opinion for her mother, who was eventually diagnosed with a treatable condition that had been overlooked. With the correct treatment, her mother's health slowly began to improve. At the same time, Lily made a conscious effort to mend the fraying relationships within her family. She organized family dinners, encouraged open communication, and sought to resolve conflicts peacefully. Gradually, the household began to return to its former state of harmony. Reflecting on the events, Lily realized that her dream had indeed been a warning. It had alerted her to the potential dangers looming over her family, both health-wise and relational. By paying attention to the subtle messages from her subconscious, she had been able to steer her family through a challenging period. From then on, Lily paid closer attention to her dreams, understanding that sometimes they carried important messages. And as life continued, she remained vigilant, always ready to act on the silent whispers of her subconscious mind. Sleep well and sweet dream to you, my dear subscribers. See you on the next episode. The end.